What's up, guys? Hope everybody's doing great. Today I have a really special and beautiful car with me, the 1969 Ford Mustang Fast Back. This car is in immaculate condition and has been completely restored. This one is actually an interesting story. The nickname of this car is Marilyn, and it was auctioned off at the Barret Jackson in Arizona, which my buddy, my friend, was actually lucky enough to have won the bid on the car, hence why it's right here with us right now. So what's cool is that I have the original advertising banner for this car that was at Barret Jackson at the auction, and it kind of gives you a quick summary of what's been done to the car and everything like that, along with the cool nickname Marilyn. And this is basically all the stuff that's been done. I'll talk about it step by step individually once we go and look around the car. This thing is really a beauty to look at, and truly I would say a man's car. It's really got that presence. But what makes this car so special, other than the fact that it's a 69 Fastback that's been completely restored? This is actually a complete Rotisserie Pro Touring Build, and what that means is that they didn't spare any expense to make this car as good as it can be. I'll start first with the engine, which I absolutely adore on this car. It's the 427 Roush, but it's an SR tuned motor. It's a custom SR stroker engine that produces 510 horsepower. I'm actually gonna pop the hood right now and show you the engine properly. Okay, we have this here. There we go. So this is the heart of the beast, the beautiful Roush 427 motor. This engine is absolute eye candy to me. This is actually the exact same engine that's in my Shelby Cobra 427 by Superformance, and I really love these engines because you can customize them however you like. Yes, they're the same base, but the internals can be different. You can be fuel injected or carbureted. The aftermarket billet components and really custom work for these engines, you can go sky's the limit, and I really love them for that. Thankfully, this motor is actually a carbureted engine, and it has the Holley carburetors. The one on mine are the Edelbrock, and I just love driving these engines with carburetors because it gives you that manly, choppy idle, and you have to be kind of aware of the idle, and it gives you a nice kind of feeling and a nice experience with regards to driving these motors. Of course, the fuel injection is more consistent and is more, I would say, usable for a daily driver, but still you can definitely daily drive a carbureted car. It just gives you more of an authentic old school experience, and it's very raw, I would say. That's the best way to describe it. I absolutely adore the driver's point of view. I mean, look at these beautiful gauges right here and the big gauges down there, all by Autometer. Lovely. The clutch is actually not too bad as well. It's not too firm. It's got a 5-speed Tremec transmission, and I like this curved Hurst shifter. It's really nice. The car also has a completely upgraded and brand new stereo system, which is supposed to be fantastic. It's got an amazing heater and AC system, and it's very, it's got all those modern features, but again, on a car like this, having a beautiful sound system is completely pointless and unnecessary, because why the heck would you ever want to listen to anything other than the sound of the motor? This car also has custom headers with a performance exhaust, and the steering is actually a rack and pinion steering. So yeah, the other thing I want to show you guys is the alloy wheels, which are absolutely beautiful, and they're lightweight wheels. So that's probably the only thing that's lightweight on this car. I do like the cage in the back. It's really nice. Again, it's a roll bar more than a cage, actually. It's just there to protect you. And yeah, it's just a lovely place to be and to drive. It's got that old car smell where you smell mostly oil and leather. And I really love that with cars that are, older than the 80s. This is, again, a 69 that's been restored, but some things you can't get rid of, like the smell of that old car smell that just stays from the day it leaves the dealership back in 1969. So yeah, let's have a look at the wheels. So these wheels are the Mini Light lightweight alloy wheels, and this is a good thing. Anything to lighten rotational mass would be wonderful and is very welcome on this car. And yeah, it looks great actually, these design of mini light wheels with the BF Goodrich tires. I think it just complements that vintage, you know, style. But these are brand new wheels, they're not like an older wheel. So yeah, I'm gonna give you a quick look at the exhaust. It's pretty hard to see, you know, custom headers, but you can see the car has independent suspension that are coilovers, and these are really nice to have on old muscle cars, because that was the one weak point on these cars. They just couldn't corner to save their life. And once you upgrade the suspension to where it has independent suspension and four-wheel disc brakes, things like that, which seem very simple in today's terms, but on these cars it's a massive upgrade. So yeah, that helps the drivability of this car tenfold. And another thing I love about these older vehicles is just simplicity. To access the trunk, you just have to put the key, and it's the same key that you turn on the ignition of the car, and you can just open the trunk, and it is very spacious. Again, everything has been redone on this car, from the carpeting to the panels and all that stuff. And along with the Barret Jackson advertising banner, LJ gave me the little kind of like a frame to frame in your house with all the details of this car, and it's just beautiful, and everything that's been done to it, and the VIN number and all that, and all the specific details that you'd want. He told me he didn't even open this yet, so we're doing that right now. And again, I don't want to take it out completely, but this is something that you get with the car to kind of frame in your house. And it's just a lovely thing to be with old cars in today's terms, because it's so refreshing for me. I just, you know, I cherish these moments with cars like this, because again, the uniqueness is there, the character is there, and it's just special. I'm gonna do a quick walk around the car and then we'll head out. Old school key. One key for the whole car. I like the exhaust notes. It's not too aggressive, but it's not too quiet. It's got a nice rumble to it that's not annoying, that's not overpowering, and there's not much drone at all inside the car. I really like that. Engines on rear-wheel drive cars like this have a lot of torque, and people don't anticipate that, especially on skinny tires with not full slick. It's a treaded older tire style. It's very easy to have the torque kick in mid-range, and it'll surprise you. It'll be like, now it's spinning the wheels even as you're moving. Powerful, very powerful. I like like this 5-speed transmission. It's actually very smooth. And normally these cars, they scare me. I don't like to have too much wheel spin. Anything above 40-50 miles an hour, they can be a bit sketchy. But honestly, this one is not too bad. It's quite controllable, and it has kind of a lazy steering feel to it. So it gives you that confidence to kind of slide it around, but also you don't want to overdo it because of the age of the car, because you don't want something, you know, to pop, or you don't want a hose to get damaged or something like that. But other than that, the car is actually really balanced, I would say. And that's surprising, especially for a Mustang, and especially for a 69 Mustang. That's pretty rare. These cars are a man's car. No fiberglass or carbon fiber. Everything here is just metal. And they didn't give a crap about weight savings back then or anything like that. They just cared about how big the engine was in the front. With older cars, I just love the body panel work. They really don't make them like this anymore. These cars have so much character, and you know, I just personally, I'm starting to love older cars more and more and more as time goes on, because the way they just did things, it's just very unique and very beautiful in its own way. And yes, you can complain that old cars don't really work as good, but that's not true, because sometimes the less, you know, electronics and the less accessories you have, the more long lasting it is and the more timeless it'll be. And I'm not really a big fan of all the new tech electronic stuff and all that, you know, it just discourages me. Very comfortable car to drive. The suspension is on the softer side for my liking. It's pretty like not bouncy, but it's very smooth, and you can tell it's made to be a bit more comfortable than a bit more sporty. But these suspension are fully adjustable, so you can kind of adjust it to where it's more stiff. But yeah, I definitely can tell that the setting is on the softer side. But again, like I said, that's up to you to set it the way you want. And especially if you're gonna daily this thing and not drive it in a, you know, aggressive manner, you can't complain on the softer side. Being an older car and having an older style, of course it's a redone braking system, but still it's an older style braking system. The brakes feel kind of spongy, but that's okay. It's part of the character of this car. I don't mind it at all. See the torque? That was fun. It's nice. Like, I could have fun in this car and not even break the speed limit at all. You could be abiding by all the laws, but still it would put a smile on my face. And I don't even need to go crazy and do crazy stuff. It's just changing the gears, having that little bit of wheel spin every now and then. It's just nice and it's fun to drive. And you know you're on your own in this car. There's nothing assisting you. There's no ABS, no, absolutely nothing, no traction. And if you know me, you know that I love that stuff. So this is a car that I would actually consider owning something like this, because it's very unique and beautiful to drive, and it ticks all the boxes for me, I think. She is an absolute beauty. She's an old girl, but man, is she still gorgeous. A true cougar. And she will kill you if you don't know how to drive it. And I love that about this car. Everything about this car screams muscle car to me. This is a true muscle car from the real muscle car era. I think the 60s produced some of the best muscle cars in history, and the 69 Fastback is just so iconic. And you have other things, you know, like the Dodge Challengers and the Chargers and the Hemi Cudas, and this type of stuff is just really what's stuck in my head when I think of a muscle car. I know there's some great muscle cars from the new generation, but these things, I want to say, are like being with an old friend with the manual gearbox and the leather and the oily smell and all that, but it's more than that. I would say it's like being with an older relative, like a cool granddad or like a cool uncle. It's so nostalgic and has such a raw feel to it. And, you know, it's just special, and it's hard to put into words because it's just pure emotion, and it's hard sometimes to change that emotion and translate it into words because honestly the words just don't exist. So it's just a strong feeling that you have with certain cars, and you can't really describe it to someone, and that's kind of how I feel with these cars. Well, speaking of new stuff, I like this gear shifter, this Hurst shifter with this style. It makes me feel like I'm in a drag car, to where I slot the gears in quickly, you know. It's interesting. I like this feeling, like very quick. And instead of pulling backwards, you're almost smashing it downwards. All right, guys, that brings us to the end of the video with this gorgeous Queen. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. I really believe, you know, sharing these types of cars with all of you is really important because these are truly iconic cars, and you don't see them pretty often, and especially you don't see them in this shape pretty often. And for all the car nuts like me and us petrol heads or gear heads or whatever you want to call us, it's a nice bonding moment that we have together. You know, we can't really talk about much except cars, so this is something that we can all share. No matter our differences in the world and our differences everywhere and all that stuff, we can always find common ground. And I really love cars because they're just a beautiful common ground, and they bring people together in many ways. So yeah, again, I hope you enjoyed this video, and more to come soon, and I'll see you guys next time. Ciao. Be honest, did you ever read this?
So I have not had a chance to read this yet.
Nobody reads these.
Who needs a manual?
I know, right? Who needs a manual?